Hi. So I just got back from the gym and I've been thinking of something because I've got visitors right now. And visitors are just feelings. I refer to my bad feelings as visitors in my head. And I've got some visitors right now, but they are already out the door, basically, almost completely out the door. But I have been thinking about this because something just happened the other day. And I just thought to myself, maybe I should talk about this because maybe it's helpful to someone out there. So basically, there was a situation, and I actually mentioned this in my last video. Basically, do you know this feeling where something very minor happens, but you are just sort of annoyed, you think annoying thoughts about it, and then you get annoyed. And then you feel like, I want to tell someone about this. You want to complain to your friends about it. Well, something like that just happened. That was now 2 days ago. It's not important what this was, because I just want to talk about the process. It was so funny to watch my own reaction to this, because if anyone's been watching this channel, then you would know that I talk a lot about emotional regulation. And well, this was exactly one of these situations where you need that kind of thing. And where I was like, well, what's it gonna be, Kelly? How are you actually gonna act in this situation? Because, when that thing happened, my very first reaction to it was just like everyone's reaction. I really felt it, like inside me. I really felt like I really want to talk about this right now. I really want to go to my friend and tell them about this. Why do you want to do that? I feel like you want to do that because you want reassurance. You want your friend to tell you something to make you feel better, or to side with you or something. And I see that as you're kind of asking your friend to be your emotional regulator, because you're asking for some kind of reassurance or validation, and that's your first impulse, is to go to someone else so that they can then tell you something that would make you feel better. And so that's how I felt too in that moment. But then I was able to pull myself back a little bit and just be like, no, we're not doing this. Because I want to practice my own emotional regulation, just as I have been talking about on this channel. And I was just like, Kelly, do we walk the talk as well? Or do we just yap about it on this YouTube channel? And then I said to myself, I hate how right you are about this. And so I pulled myself back. I was like, no, I am not doing anything right now. I don't need to be saved from this feeling. I don't need somebody to tell me that everything is fine, or to reassure me in any way. I don't actually need this right now. What I should do right now is just sit with it. Just allow this feeling to exist. Because I know myself. Like, astrologically speaking, I have a fire moon, like a fire sign moon. And your moon is about your emotions. And I have a moon-Pluto conjunction, and Pluto is about intensifying everything. So anything that it could be conjunct in your natal chart, it's just going to intensify. So in this case, emotions are going to be intensified. And my Pluto is retrograde. So it's not like I will have some kind of big emotional display or that other people would be able to see. I may actually look extremely calm from the outside, but inside me, it's just I'm kind of like burning in that moment. It feels sort of like it's like if somebody this would be my knee-jerk reaction, like not something that I would act out, but something that I would feel inside me. Would be like somebody taking like a blowtorch and just going like over my whole system. That's what it feels like when something happens that like really gets to me, even if it's some minor little thing. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even know if there are minor things, because it's just my knee-jerk reaction is just to feel like that. There's like this blowtorch thing happening. But then that's where the emotional regulation comes in. It's like my brain comes in with a fire extinguisher and is like, whoa, what the heck is happening here? I was able to pull myself back and be like, I don't need to be saved from this. I can just let this feeling exist. And then I would talk to myself. I would be like, well, this really sucks. This feeling, this really sucks right now. I really don't like this moment. I'm really not a fan of this moment. And then I would tell myself, I know you're not a fan of this moment. Considering all the thoughts that you're thinking right now, yeah, it makes perfect sense that you're not a fan of this moment. But it's just a moment. So like if you were going through something like this right now, some kind of intense feeling, it's just a moment. It's just a feeling, and it's not going to stay that way. Even though right now it feels like you are forever going to feel this way and you're never going to feel differently. I know it feels that way. But that's not true. It's just because you've got momentum going on this feeling, so that's why you feel that way. You cannot immediately stop it. Law of attraction just won't let you stop it. And in fact, if you're already going off on something like that in your head, on some kind of feeling like this, what tends to happen with law of attraction is that this turns into, very quickly, it turns into some sort of like family gathering or a class reunion or whatever you want to call it, of bad feelings. So it's kind of like something happens that really sucks, and pretty soon other feelings will show up or other thoughts will show up that are also like, we heard that there was talk about something really sucking happening here, so we also showed up. So it's kind of like, this thing sucks in your life? Remember all these other things that also suck. They are also here now. So that's kind of like what was happening to me in that moment. But I was like, Kelly, we know how to do this. This is a very minor thing, even though it feels like something really big. Because it was just something that like really got me emotionally because of reasons that aren't important. But so it really got me, and so even though it was a minor thing and I could logically understand this is a minor thing in the grand scheme of things, it really felt like a big deal. But I was just like, I am not going to do anything, and I'm not going to anybody about this, and I'm not even going to talk about it. Even in this video, I'm not actually talking about the thing anymore, because honestly, those feelings have died down. But I am talking about my reflection of the thing. And so that's what happened. I did not tell anybody about this because I know you want to tell your friend. But in my case, because you might argue that it would be a good idea to tell someone if you like want their perspective on something, which I would agree with, because wanting perspective is not the same thing as wanting validation or wanting somebody else to take care of your feelings. So that makes sense. But in this case, the situation was such that there were just some unknowns in that situation that my friends, even if I told them about this, they wouldn't have been able to tell me like what the truth of the situation is. All they could have done is just basically side with me or like have my back or whatever. They could have just reassured me. But that's the thing. I wanted to do that for myself because I wanted to prove to myself, even though this feels big right now, and even though everything in me feels like I really want to talk about this right now, I don't have to. And I can reassure myself. I can validate myself. I can just let it sit. I don't have to fight it. I don't have to make it go away. I can just do that for myself. I don't have to go and ask somebody else to do it for me. And especially because I want to practice this for myself. I want to get better at this. So I didn't do anything. I didn't tell anybody anything about this. And I just let it be. Even that intense feeling of really wanting to talk about this. If you can pull back, and I promise that you can. I know it feels difficult to do, but you really can pull back and just be like, I'm not even gonna start talking about this, because most of these minor little things that happen, it's just like, what is the point? What is the point of like constantly ranting about things, especially things you can't do anything about anyway? I just feel like it's putting the responsibility of handling your own emotional state onto somebody else. And you don't need to do that. And if you don't do that, like if you can hold yourself back from doing this, then you would find that this feeling just, it dies down, it goes away. And then you just feel like, I didn't need to talk about this anyway. It's so interesting. It feels like the world is ending, I know. But if you just let it be, then eventually those feelings will walk out the door, and then you'll be like, it's all gone now. I didn't need to say anything about this to anyone anyway. And that's exactly what happened. I was proud of myself for that, first of all. And then secondly, I was proud of myself that I could keep myself back from like snapping at people. Because, sometimes that does happen. Like I will be feeling some type of way and then I snap. Even though the person has like nothing to do with anything. That's just, it's a knee-jerk reaction that I want to get better at. So I was able to hold myself back. Like, even though I was feeling pretty shitty, I didn't snap at anybody, and I just had normal conversations with people. And just earlier, one thing I did do, which is that when this initial situation happened and I had the initial feelings, that situation had already like cooled down. I wasn't having feelings about that anymore. But now coming back to the class reunion thing, so now I was having feelings about something totally different, because it's just law of attraction. Like attracts like. And that works with everything, with your thoughts and everything else too. And your feelings. So get going on something that feels like shit and watch more shitty feelings show up pretty soon. So now I was having those feelings. I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and I just told them, I am having some visitors again. And I said, but that is just the human experience. And that's it. And my friend didn't start asking more about this, didn't start trying to fix this, because, they already know. We have a very clear dynamic. We know what's going on. We know that I am never, ever asking them to do anything about it. So all they did was just like put a little heart on my text, and that was it. And that's very much like them. It was no big deal. And by now, as I'm making this video, these feelings have pretty much walked out the door already. That initial situation that really got me going, all that is just gone. You know, it feels like putting your hand on a hot stove at first. And then it's like a really big deal. But if you don't start trying to make this into a thing, then pretty soon the hot stove is just going to cool down, and then you're going to be able to think about the thing and feel like, hey, this doesn't evoke any feeling in me anymore. How crazy. At first, it felt like this would never go away. Like I would always feel that way. But now I think about the same thing and I'm just like, it's just gone. Because I didn't make a thing of it, and I didn't ask anybody else to do anything about it. I just reassured myself. I know it might feel like it's harder to do. I know it might feel like it's easier if other people do this for you, but you don't need that. And my honest opinion is that you should be able to do this for yourself, because it's not other people's job. So I just wanted to talk about this because, man, I just love it when life gives me an actual situation. Like right after I'm like done talking about this, and it's just like, it's almost like the universe is just asking, Kelly, that stuff that you keep talking about on your YouTube, do you actually do these things too? Or are you just yapping about it? And yeah, I actually do these things too. I'm not always successful, but I am practicing. And that is a lot. And I am proud of myself for that. So I hope that you got something out of this. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.